Thank you, robot. All right, welcome to our Wednesday Yin. I'm Cam. We are going to go through the superficial backline today. So we're going to start seated. You're going to need a couple of blocks or a block. You're going to need a strap or a belt, and you're going to need a pressure release ball, or you can use the blocks if you like. And let's start seated. Lengthen the spine, let go all the ideas of the day. Let's have a beautiful little flow, hey? Big belly breath in and hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Open the mouth and sigh it out with sound. One more like that. Big belly breath in. When you think you're full, keep filling. And hold it. Hold it. And sigh it out. Just notice how that changes how you feel all of a sudden. This big belly breath helps tune the vagus nerve, helps bring us into the moment. And with your eyes closed, how do you know your hands and feet are there? Investigate. Notice what you notice. Notice sensation, temperature, pressure, energy. Notice that you're noticing this. And if you can, notice the part of you that's doing the noticing. All right, and then start to notice the breath without changing. Observe how you're breathing. And just gently start to lengthen and deepen the breath. Try to make the exhale longer than the inhale consciously. So going for a 1-to-2 ratio. So count how the breath comes in. Count how long it takes for the breath to come out. And see if you can double the exhalation. So breathing in for, let's say, 4. Breathing out for 8. Nice and slow. Just stay in that rhythm, breathing in for about 4, less if it's too hard, more if you can, and breathing out for 8, again less if it's harder, more if it feels natural. And just finding a rhythm that you can sustain. And any time during the practice today, if you feel the mind wandering, come back to that nice 1-to-2 ratio breath. Setting our intention, so working into tenacity. So last week we talked about Sthira Sukha Asanam, which is the balance of strength and ease. This week we talk about the strength part, the holding on, the ability to firmly grip, to get it, to stay with, to commit. Taking one chant of Om to start, big breath in. Om. Beautiful. So we're going to start in down dog just for a couple of rounds of breath here. So downward facing dog, come onto your hands and knees. I'll turn to the side so you can see. And then hands and knees, tuck your toes, lift your bum, and then gently flatten the back as much as you can. And just gently pedal out, left heel up, right heel down, right heel up, left heel down. And just notice, how do your hamstrings feel? How does your back, how does your lower back feel? Notice if you can look at your heels as you're pedaling left to right, notice where you start to feel sensation. So notice how straight the legs are when you're feeling sensation. Cool, and remembering that, so we're going to come back to it. Stroll the feet to the hands and gently roll up the spine vertebra at a time. Nice spine roll. Take your pressure release ball and let's whack it underneath the right foot. We're going to palpate the right foot. So if you don't have a pressure release ball, you can use a block or the edge of a steel water bottle or something hard. Now, another little option for our palpation is if you take the ball, if you're using a ball, if you take it right under the base knuckles of the the ball of the foot, as if you're kind of gripping it like little froggy toes with your toes, and then press your heel down, gently rolling side to side. So that's the first motion. Just kneading along that big, thicker part of the skin underneath the base knuckles of your toes. And then moving to the stirrup or the sole of the foot, or the plantar fascia. So this is from that big place there, and just this big gap area between the heel and the base knuckles, and just massaging that backwards and forwards, kneading into it, trying to get that place where it feels a bit sensitive or a little bit pointed, and just massage it, roll through it. Right. And then we're going to come to the heel. So bend your left knee, take your toes of the right foot down and place the ball underneath the right heel, and just massage that side to side. So as if you're kind of, I don't know, it's a bad analogy, but it just always reminds me of putting out a cigarette butt. I don't know how else to describe it. Pressing side to side. Yes, I used to smoke. Horrible habit. Glad I've kicked that one. All right. So let go of that and just come back into downward dog. And just notice, pedal out the left and the right foot, and notice where the sensation is. Notice the difference between your left side and your right side. And the first thing that I notice is the inside of my hamstring on the right side has been released. I'm not getting any pinching on the right hip, and the left leg is still quite tight. It feels almost stuck. All right, stroll the feet to the hands, gently roll up vertebra at a time, and let's take the ball underneath the left foot and do the same thing. So yeah, from time to time I like to, taking it under the base knuckles, I like to do a bit more of a demonstrative class so you can investigate in a real way how it works physically in your body. So you know it's better than just me talking a bunch of nice things over chill beats with some funny poses. You can feel the difference in your body through doing the work. So you can feel how it's working for you. And essentially, if we had about an hour and a half to do this class, that'd be perfect, because I'd probably spend almost 10 minutes on my feet. I know it sounds like a bit overindulgent, but honestly, the band of fascia is just so thick there. Because we're keeping it to an hour, we only got about 2.5, 3 minutes either side. And then taking it underneath the sole of the foot, plantar fascia right under the stirrup, pushing backwards and forwards there. So in regards to tenacity, the ability to hold on, to firmly grip. So it's not just, a lot of the time we think of tenacity as a weightlifter lifting something heavy, or a runner doing a marathon, or a bunch of soldiers overcoming adversity. Like, we think of it in a very yang, push, masculine drive, overcoming, achieving. It's not just that. It is, dictionary definition described as the ability to firmly grasp concept, idea, to hold on, to commit. So when we think of it in yoga, and yin yoga especially, it's things like being present, like anchoring your breath, like honoring the 70% pressure, not pushing too hard, like getting the concept of yin rather than natural default of trying too hard, perhaps, as an idea of tenacity. All right, let's take it underneath the heel, toes of the left foot down, and gently rolling the heel side to side, as much pressure as you can. Heel never really gets a lot of love, but There's a lot of insertion of fascia through that area. All right, and then return to downward dog and check it out. Notice it for yourself. So feeling to the left and the right side, that is not even a joke how much more open my left hamstring is now. That's crazy. I always like to do this to remind myself that it is very real the way this stuff works. All right, and then gently walking forward, spine roll up, vertebra at a time. And then first pose we're going to take here is a dragon lunge with the heel lifted. So to do this, I'm going to do it out here so you can see what I'm doing. I'll turn the other way. We're going to have our right leg, our right toes down. I'm going to have my heel directly underneath my bum. I'm going to use my blocks to assist me here so that then I don't have to try and hold myself on that. So it's essentially like a Caesar toe stretch, but my knee is lifted, right? And then I'm sending my left leg back in a lunging position. So notice that my knee is coming forward. Now this is a no-no when we're doing vinyasa yoga, but it's okay when we're doing yin because we can put a block underneath the knee there. And then the more upright we are here, the more weight we're putting down through the Achilles tendon. So we're aiming for this area right along the Achilles. Now you might not get a lot of sensation. You might feel this more in the left hip pocket if your hip flexors are tight. But the aim here is to sit up as tall as you can so that then you're dropping weight straight through the heel and releasing through the ankle. So always a good place to start with a class on tenacity is where are you at in regards to your goals and your dreams in life? Are you on track? Are you at a different place on the mountain? Are you abandoning some of those dreams because they feel too hard or unachievable or unrealistic? And sometimes when things are feeling really tough, I just remember this is just a tough part of the mountain. And some days are going to be like this, especially when you're growing towards things that might be, not present in your life. They might feel like they're out of reach. So the ability to stay on course with the plans you've made, even when things are tough, that's tenacity. That's what we're talking about today. And if you feel like the mind is wandering, just come back to that really simple half or 1-to-2 ratio. Double the exhalation. And if you ever lose where your breath is and you feel like a count of 4 in and 8 out is unachievable, just start with the natural breath. Count whatever the inhale is. Make the exhale double the time. All right, holding for another 3 rounds of breath on this side. And then we're going to gently swap sides. So you're going to just take a kneeling position as you rebound. So sitting back onto the heels here. And just take a few moments just to let those sensations pass. All right, let's come to the other side. So taking the left toes directly underneath your bum, and the right knee, right leg is back. Right leg kicking back. All right, you might put a block underneath the left knee if you need to. I like to take a block into the right hand just to help support me setting up. And yeah, if we had a lot more time, I would do this one leg at a time, but we had the tactile sensation of the release with the down dog test. So we're going to do one leg at a time and work the whole way up the superficial back line. So the superficial back line, this is one big giant band of fascia, and it starts right at the middle of your forehead, like right on your third eye or in between your eyebrows, and runs like a skull cap over the head, down the back, all through the back, the lower back, the bum, comes down your hamstrings, back of the calf muscles, and inserts in your plantar fascia underneath the sole of the foot. And so I've seen it as one actual big piece of stuff. There's a picture in the book that we studied at our teacher training, and it's, suitably gross, but it is an actual thing. It's like a full piece of fascia that can be removed. So often releasing just through the base, and the soles of the feet can release tension around your neck and face, and can help you with anxiety and stress around your shoulders, and just create a bit more openness so you don't feel so tight around your hips even. It's a wonderful, very physical release, this sequence. It's another question I like to ask. If there are dreams that have been abandoned, if there are goals that have gone back to the wayside, have you given 110% for it? Have you really committed? And sometimes the answer is life changed and my values changed, and that goal didn't make sense to me anymore. And that's totally cool. But that's different to settling for a lesser goal because it was more achievable. And sometimes the lesser goal isn't the end point. It's just a necessary detour around the mountain, and you're still heading up towards the big goal. But knowing where you are on the mountain, that's the important part. All right, 3 more rounds of breath. And then gently come back into that kneeling position. And tuck the toes underneath. Sit back onto your heels. And just take a few moments to let the sensations pass. Notice the sensations, maybe little pins and needles or little cool washes of energy, or maybe it's that shrinking feeling that the fascia comes back to center that you notice. Maybe nothing. All right, very slowly we're going to make our way onto our back for our hamstring hammock. So grab your strap or your belt. Grab your bolster. If you don't have a long strap, you're going to put your head onto your bolster, and that's going to stretch through your neck. So you want to have a decent lift on your bolster, so the head's up like so. And then we're going to take the strap around, or the belt around the right foot. Now, if you can make it into a loop, that's valuable. You don't want to have the buckle towards you because that gets sore when you hold on to it. But if you're using a shorter belt or a strap, you can put it around your elbow crease when it's into a loop, and then you fold your arms and then it doesn't require any effort to hold it there. But if you can, place the strap a centimetre behind your head, and it's going to lift the back of your neck and give you that beautiful release down the whole of the back of the neck and the shoulders. So in yoga, we have this expression, abhyasa and viragya. And it translates to daily practice with dispassion. So it means I just relentlessly do my daily practice because that's how I life, you know? But I do it in such a way that I'm not attached to the outcome. So this is a different mindset than most Westerners. Most Westerners, we only get up off our ass if it does something for us. And yoga's helped me a lot to understand that that mindset does bad things for my mental health. If I only do things for goals and outcome, it sets up a pretty pretty unattainable chain of reactions inside of me. It sets off the beginnings of an unhealthy perfectionism, and nothing is ever enough. Nothing satisfies. It's just continual goal setting to infinity and beyond. But that's just the old way my head used to work. Now with the yoga mindset of progress, not perfection, daily practice without attachment to what the results are, the side effect is that I achieve more. I'm happier and more content. I'm not obsessed with the end point because there is no end point. It's just daily practice, and it helps me stay really simple with the way I approach life. I just do the next right thing and try not to get worried about the whole mountain in one day. Just remember it's one step at a time. And that settles down my nervous system, settles down my flight and fight response, and then I can think more clearly. And it's not always the case, but that's what I'm trying to do. That's the work in progress, right? And the more the years pass that I do it in this way, the easier it gets. And then sometimes I forget how content I am compared to how I used to be. Sometimes I have to look back and realize the view is much better from here. I'm not stuck in the swamp anymore. And occasionally there'll be days I'll fall down the mountain and land on my face, but getting back up and getting to where I am is a lot easier. It's a lot more natural these days. And we're here for about another 3 rounds of breath. And then very gently unhook the strap and float the foot down, nice and slow. Just really take your time to float the foot down, enjoy it as if you're floating through a giant jar of honey. And then slide the left foot into it and lie flat in Shavasana just for a few moments. Let the sensations pass. And then take the left leg up, strap behind the head or around the arm, and just settle in. So in relation to things like flexibility, my physical practice of yoga, just doing the exercises I've realized if I do my stretching every day, I'm open. My nemesis parts of my body are a gentle work in progress, but even they start to open more, and things that used to be unattainable start to appear. I feel really confident and happy in my skin. I'm not sort of accidentally picking stuff up and hurting myself, or feeling weak or restricted or cranky in my skin. But if I don't do it for 2 weeks, I end up being the Tin Man. The simplest thing, like picking up an umbrella or bending over to tie up my shoes, can cascade into a sense of pain in my body. So for me, the side effect of Abhyasa and Vairagya, my daily practice with detachment, side effect is this tenacity, this ability to feel supported by myself in uncomfortable positions, not only in my yoga practice, but in my life. And it's new. And it's a very welcome feeling. I was talking to a guy at the gym today who works with mental health patients, and I might be doing some yoga work with some of the patients, and they're full-time care patients. And he said he had one of his students, one of his patients that was wheelchair bound for 30 years. And doctors gave up. And after 3 months working with him, she was using a walking frame, and when the carers came over to help do the dishes, she would tell them to leave it alone. She wanted to do it. And the sense of independence, the sense of strength in her body from being able to overcome those limitations that the doctors gave up on. That's the tenacity that we're talking about. Side effect of your practice and your attention on yourself. Be here for about another minute, so see if you can release, let go, relax. And as you do, let me ask you a question. If you had all the money, all the resources, and you knew you couldn't fail, you had all the support, what would you do tomorrow? Or what would you do now? There's no way you could fail. You could do whatever you want. Notice what happens to your mind. Is the critic coming in saying, "Oh, that's ridiculous. That's an unrealistic question"? Is it opening your mind to an incredible dream, to an infinite possibility, to something that is so far-fetched beyond your reality now that you just haven't seen it before? Are you worried about what other people might think? Getting to know what stands between you and really diving into creating a beautiful, infinite, expansive dream, and really living the feelings of being in that dream. Something that you want to really explore. Three more rounds of breath. Now very gently take the strap and float the leg down, nice and slow. Enjoy its time coming back down to the floor, all the way down.
And release. Let go and relax. Notice the sensations. All right, so the next one we're going to take is ragdoll or dangling pose. So bring the right foot in, roll to one side, over to the left, and then pressing your way up into standing, grab hold of your bolster and place it right on your tummy as you fold into ragdoll. So right over the tummy and then folding from the hips. Now you might want to just let the hands hang here. You can also rest them on a block or cross your arms. You can back your bum up against the wall if that feels better. Whatever. What is feeling good, just let it hang. Let it release. Let everything go. Let all the weight from your shoulders release. Let your neck hang loose. Let your face just melt. Let the jaw unhinge. Let everything hang as if it was made of jelly melting in the sun. So something to notice when we dream really big is why. Why is that dream? When you can really understand your why, and you know your why is connected to the values that you really hold dear in your life, it becomes a really driven, strong, anchored purpose. Your purpose of life, and it becomes your inner purpose. In fact, that it doesn't matter what you do in your outer job, your career, your day-to-day. You could be serving sandwiches, you could be a firefighter, you could be a yoga teacher, you could be an office worker. It really doesn't matter, because your inner purpose of how you life with other people doesn't depend on what it is you're doing in your outer purpose. And so that's one part, one aspect of your purpose and why it is you do the things you do in life. And then you've got the element of your outer purpose, which is perhaps part of your big dream. And when that lines up with your inner purpose, it just means that your resource of energy to conduct your outer purpose is coming from a much more aligned and joyful, easier to access and much more energetic place. So there's less dissonance between your inner and outer world. That means there's much more energy to draw on for you to do life. There's also less chance of burnout. Right, 3 more rounds of breath here. And then we're going to gently drop the bolster down and then take a seat. Place your bolster underneath your knees, out in front of you. And we're going to come straight into this next pose, which is a version of caterpillar. So you're going to place your hands underneath your calf muscles And then lean back. So round out your back. Bring your chin to your chest. And breathe into the back line. Breathe into what you find all the way down your back. And sometimes when we look into where we're at with our goals and our dreams, sometimes we realize that maybe the things we do in our outer world, in our outer purpose, in our day-to-day life, they don't match our values anymore. And this is something that I realized about a decade ago. There was something about the way I use my energy in my social life, especially around my music career, the desire to be the last man standing at the party, hanging out with the people and connecting. And while there was an important part of my job which needed me to connect and humanize who I was, there was an old driver that needed people to like me. And unfortunately, it started coming undone when, my behavior in the early morning hours after the gigs, or drinking too much, or making poor decisions, or embarrassing myself because I'm exhausted and tired, it started sort of creating more harm than good. And I realized that desire to be needed, to be loved, that people-pleasing aspect, that could go. And it just got replaced with a healthy self-respect. And in that way, I didn't have to consciously stop doing the behaviors. I was more aware of my value of self-respect, changing my outer behaviors, and also changing my goals. So sometimes just reconnecting with our values and understanding what's important to us at this stage in life just changes and helps us let go of some of those less aligned goals and behaviors. Gently lengthen the spine. So sitting up nice and tall, but take your time. Like a little shoot growing from the earth in the morning sun. And then leaning forward over your legs so the belly comes onto the thighs and the arms come forward. And what you can do is you can pop a block on your bolster, which I like to do, because that just helps me let go and let my head release. And then I can focus on the release through the hamstrings, and you can move it as you deepen. And if you have the block underneath the forehead, you can gently roll the head side to side and massage the insertion of the fascia right on the third eye in the forehead, in between the eyebrow center. And that can help release through the neck and the skull. Notice if it is quite sharp, the intensity there. So it can be a little nervy, and just gently play with it. I'm just trying to lengthen like a caterpillar towards your feet, slowly. Double the length of the exhale. We're going to be here for about another minute and a half. So see if there's any length you can create through the spine. Deepen the fold. So there was a guy by the name of Nathaniel Bronner who said that success is often not a matter of talent, but mere tenacity. And so his story as an African-American man growing up in the slavery era was that he had his farm burnt down a dozen times by angry racist farmers in the area. And he grew to be one of the most successful cotton farmers in the whole of America. Not only that, he fathered 10 children. They all went to college. They all had college education. And so he didn't just succeed in his business because he loved cotton, but his why to create support, stability, and to change the perception of his people and how they're received, and to do what was needed. He only saw one way out, and that was to be a success. And because his why was so deep and so strong, there was no how that he couldn't do. When your why is strong, there is no how you can't achieve. There is no how you can't go through. Gently lengthen the spine. Just coming up into sitting. Okay, so from a seated position, just watching me, we're going to take a version of plow pose. So this is where we're lying on our back and our legs are going over, but we're using the bolster or your pillows to wedge underneath the lower back. So if you've got a couch or something to put your feet on, that can be useful too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start lying down onto my back. I'm going to bring my knees into my chest and slide my bolster underneath my bum. And then I'm going to gently roll onto the shoulder blades and slide the bolster underneath as high up as I can. And I'm going to take my feet onto the couch behind me. And this is called snail pose for obvious reasons. My little snail shell is my bum. And as long as you don't have any pressure on the neck, we're good. So it's an inversion. You can hear even through my speech that's starting to get a little shut down. And you might find your breathing is a little different in this pose. You might not have your feet on the couch like me. They might be just hanging in space. Notice my knees are bent It's totally okay. You don't have to have them straight. But using that bolster or pillow to wedge right underneath your back just stops you from having to hold yourself there too much with your muscles. And just breathe once you get here. So one of my teacher buddies has a phrase, don't forget your OMS, OMMS. Of course, he's taking the piss out of the OM. And the OMMS, obstacles make me stronger. So in those times where we're going through life and we feel like, geez, this is hard. Is this a sign for me to stop? You know, tenacity is the ability to carry on even when giving up is more attractive. And so just remembering sometimes that going through these obstacles, it's making you stronger. It's forging a path of strength inside of you that wasn't there beforehand. And sometimes those obstacles and struggles are just a normal part of life. We can forget that because we get so invested in the doing of life that we forget to look back and have a look at perspective and realize, yeah, I fried bigger fish than this. Yeah, I've been through worse. This is just a speed hump. Three more rounds of breath here. And as you come out of here, what you're going to do is gently unwind and slide the bolster down and place it underneath your knees. And release there. So there's quite a lot of upper lumbar spine release, and that inversion just creates shift in your blood pressure. So just give yourself a moment to rebound. All right, so slide your hands underneath your sacrum. Bring your chin to your chest and press your way up into sitting. And we're going to take a half butterfly, which is, I'm going to turn towards you so I can see. The right foot comes into the left thigh, making sure that the left leg is pointing straight. Pop your bolster across your legs so it's onto the right knee, pressing that knee down to the ground. Pull it into your tummy, and then we're rounding forward. Take your right hand underneath the outside of the left calf muscle, or you can hold on the outside of the left foot. But rounding the back as much as you can, and this is getting into the thoracic. Breathe into your shoulder blades. Nice full rounds of breath. So another little process that I mentor people through is this belief systems reevaluating. So it's just a process of self-study and creation. And so sometimes what we discover is that there's a whole lot of values in our fishbowl of life And it's just really tiring trying to serve that many masters. So sometimes just simplifying your values and making them a little bit more broad, making them very aware, can help simplify your choices. And you can just kind of decide does this behavior match any of the values that I've got going on? And if it is, you do it. But if it doesn't, it's a simple way of understanding what to let go of. And sometimes creating energy in our life is more about letting go of the unessential. And by doing that, we surface this room to give energy and vibrance and grow strength and tenacity in our life towards a much more purposeful living. And that's always a rewarding process. Here for about another 30 seconds. Just let the head hang. Checking in with the breath. Double the length of the exhale. 3 more rounds of breath. And on your final exhale, just releasing the foot, coming up into sitting. Take your right leg out the front and just pull the bolster into your tummy. And just have a moment just to sit with a nice tall spine. Couple of belly breaths, pulling the belly into the bolster and the bolster into the belly. All right, swapping sides, bring the left foot into the right thigh, pressing down, and then taking the left hand either outside the right calf, so we're going across the body, or you can take it to the outside of the right foot. And then round and let go. So the Dalai Lama has some beautiful words. He says, never give up. No matter what is going on, never give up. Develop the heart. Too much energy in your society is spent developing the mind instead of the heart. Be compassionate, not just to your friends, but to everyone. Be compassionate. Work for peace in your heart and in the world. Work for peace. And I say again, never give up, no matter what is happening, no matter what's going on around you. Never give up. And this is from a man who has to be tenacious, being evicted from his own country and being responsible for the spiritual and political life of a whole group of people. If he doesn't hold the vision, it doesn't survive. And so I'll leave you with this thought today, with all of this stuff that's going on in the world of COVID and the change in society and the way things are going. Knowing is the words of Viktor Frankl that The only thing that cannot be taken away from us is the choice of why we do life. So we're in charge of how creative that is. We're in charge of what it is. And no matter what happens in the outside world, no matter what changes, no matter what liberties are removed from you, why you do what you do can never be taken away. And when you really get that, when you really lean in to understand that you're the one that creates that, you're free. You were always free. So can you dream the big dream? Can you hold the vision? Can you be courageous enough to live fearlessly, even in the darkest hour? Here for about another 30 seconds. Three more rounds of breath. And then very gently on your final exhale, just making your way into a comfortable seat. Whether you sit on your bolster in a cross leg or whether you kneel on your, sitting onto your bolster, knees either side. Try and find a position where the knees can be below the hips and the spine can be straight. Just let all of the rebound take effect. Let the liquid formation settle down your spine. So your challenge this week is to reconnect with your dreams in life. Dream the impossible dream. Create strength and purpose in your why. And then just do the first thing. It's the first step you can take. Walking towards that incredible dream. Taking one chant of Om, big breath in. Om. Hands to the heart, press the palm. Bow the head to fingertips with honor to ourselves, to each other, and to the practice of yoga that grows us strong. Together we say, Namaste.